We are live. I probably still have my phone with the volume up. Yep. Never fails. Oh, sorry. Always fails. Okay, that's turned down. I think I've got a few tabs open that I need open. We are live for June. And unfortunately, I'm not on the bank today because I had to work this morning. It was kind of a rush home to be able to do, to be able to do the live. Make sure we got one in for June. It's been a pretty busy month so far, so I haven't really had a chance to kind of plan ahead for very much. I would have loved to have been on the bank today, but it didn't happen. ONT Carpin, let's go. Good to see you, Galen. I don't even have a list for this month to go through. I didn't even realize that this was going to be the second Saturday until Thursday night when I was sitting right over there watching the original series of Star Trek over again for the 100th time. But yeah, it was like, oh crap, I got a live this week and I have to work and I'm not going to have time to get on the bank. So here we are. Grimy Fishing's back. Can't stick around long. It's my mini-me's birthday, so I'm going to hang out with him before work. Excellent. Happy birthday to your mini-me. Hope it is an awesome day. Sorry you have to go to work. Work sucks. I'm glad my work day's over for today. It was very, very, very busy. And I am now really tired. The Angler Files is telling me that work sucks. So that must be one of two people who are not me who can actually sign in as the Angler Files. But I don't know which one it is. I can guess. But yes, work sucks. And I hate that we have to do it to pay the bills, but we have to pay the bills. Ah, there we go. Dave Vandenberg switched it up. So weird to be looking at the chat and see that I've chatted, but I didn't chat. That's funny. Good to see you all in there. Again, happy birthday to your mini-me, Grimy. Hope today is awesome for him. So here we are in June, second Saturday, ready for the live. And yeah, it's going to be kind of a hodgepodge chat. Like I said, I didn't prepare my list. What I have been doing is actually preparing kind of what I would normally talk about in a live with kind of like how things have gone, give you an update, whatnot. I'm setting that up for a video. So for those of you who follow our other social media, you may have seen the post from this morning. Now, this was actually from a match 2 weeks ago. Work is okay if you're a bus driver and you can get away with making fun of your passengers. Oh, he's one of them. He's the one that looks up in the mirror and is like, I can crash this at any minute and you don't know. He's one of those. But yeah, I was I did a post this morning. Some of you I know have seen it. That it was in regards to a match 2 weeks ago, and I think it was our fourth match of the season. I actually won my first match after, into my third season of match fishing, which was really, really quite exciting. Tyler, been checking the channel every 5 minutes since noon for this. I'm sorry. Like I said, I had to work this morning, so the days I have to work, I have to start them at 1. Normally, I prefer to start them at noon on the days I don't work, because I usually have an earlier time I have to be home if I'm out. I should just set them all to 1 and make them all 1 o'clock. That would be the logical thing to do. But sometimes I get excited and want to start it sooner. So good to see you in there, Tyler. LP, nice to see you. 11. I don't know who you are, but hi. So yeah, the post this morning was in regards to my recent win, and I was really, really excited about that, especially to win against a field of anglers that are already very skilled, and I'm still really green and really new in this. It's Drazen there. I see. So I've been learning as much as I can each match, and I've been weighing in the lowest possible weights I could weigh in without blanking. The last couple of matches, I think the last 2 matches prior to this most recent one, I weighed in, I think 11 or maybe it was like 13 fish between those 2 matches for a total of 10 ounces. One match was 6 ounces for a couple catfish. And the next match was 4 ounces for a bunch of really, really small rudd and shiners. However, that match with the little rudd and shiners, even though that was like a ridiculously low weight to weigh in, I learned so much about fishing with the pole, the elastic, the really, really light, tiny setups. I think it was like a size 16 hook I was using. Once I figured out a pattern that I could get fish in my swim, even though they were tiny fish, and I did bump off a couple larger rudd. Once I got onto a pattern, I actually became really consistent and was catching quite regularly, or at the very least getting bites very regularly. So I will talk about that a little bit more in a video that's coming up, where I kind of recap where the match season has kind of been so far for me this season. I've tried to film every match, and because of my poor performance, it has not gone well, and the footage was useless. It's just me sitting there on the seat box, nothing happening. By the time I actually figured out the pattern for those rudd and shiners and stuff like that, I had already put the cameras away. I didn't see a point in keeping them out when I had gone 2/3 of the match without a bite. So when it came time for the most recent match on a venue that I had been doing a lot of practicing just further downriver, I don't like to practice in the actual match zone. The patterns that I had figured out for that venue were working for me, but they were different every single time I went back. I had to try something else. It would work. Tried what I did the week before or 2 weeks before. It didn't work. So when I actually showed up the most recent match, I tried a tactic that I hadn't used at all. Didn't know what I was doing with it because it does cast differently. The bite indication is different. And I had a bit of a learning curve, to try this, but I kind of stuck to my guns with a game plan that I had going in, stayed on that game plan the whole time, and it paid off with a nice win, which was very, very exciting. Coming out on top when you have anglers like Lyle from Niagara Fishing. He's a really good angler, and he's won the last 2 matches. He kind of got into the whole pole fishing and some of these new styles at the same time I did, even though he's been match fishing way longer than I have. The new equipment that we're trying, we've been kind of learning at the same rate, and he's just been on the right pegs. So it's been really, really exciting to kind of watch him grow at the same time I'm figuring things out, and then to actually kind of just bump a little bit above him for one match was really, that was a proud moment. Time for the birthday lunch. See the rest of the replay. Congratulations, John. Have a good day, all. Enjoy that birthday. Have a great time. So yeah, I'm gonna do a recap video, kind of talking about how this match season has gone so far. I need to get tomorrow's match out of the way first. Tomorrow, the cameras are going with me because I don't want to miss another chance to try and get a cool video of a match. So the cameras will be there. I don't know how much of a blog style it'll be. It might just be kind of like get the footage and then talk about it after, because the pegs are going to be tight tomorrow. We have more people coming than really the venue can fit comfortably. So we're going to have to see how that goes. But I did a practice session there last week with 4 other anglers that are part of the match club. We made noise. We were not overly careful with kind of like stomping on the bank and yelling to each other and chatting and whatnot. And we all caught actually quite consistently through the day until the turtles showed up. I caught 3 snapping turtles that were probably this big around throughout the course of the day, like the latter part of the day last week, which was not ideal. A couple of small painted turtles, caught those as well. They were just coming in and sitting on the bait. But I did get, like, I think I had 7 small carp like this, a couple of small catfish. So I worked out a plan last week that kind of went against what everybody said should work. Despite the noise and everything like that, I fished really close in. I didn't use a pole. I tried a feeder, had lots of activity with the feeder, but had it very difficult to get hookups with the feeder. So I kind of worked out a pattern that worked for me last week, saw what worked for the other anglers last week, and I've come up with a 2-stage idea that I'm going to do for tomorrow that will I'll put the cameras on and hopefully capture and hopefully do well in the match. That one's an early start tomorrow, so I have rigs to tie tonight with what is it I got here? So I got some light wire. I think these are size 14s. Really, really tiny hooks. And I have some 16s somewhere. I need to tie a few rigs with those. Yeah, the main part of what I'm going to do tomorrow is a 2-stage plan, and I have a 3rd stage that is kind of like a backup just in case. So we'll see how it goes. And after that, I will do a recap video to kind of sum up the whole match season so far as we get to pretty much the halfway point almost. And that should be interesting. How is everybody else's fishing going? Who's been catching? Who's been out? I know LP's been catching really well. He even tried some new spots. His clients have been catching well. No time for it yet. Yeah, sometimes it's tough. I know Mr. Pendlebury, Big Dave, he recently had a recapture, like almost a year apart. Nice big 29 pounder. So if you pop over to his Instagram, you should be able to see the 2 pictures of that. If you remember the Canadian Carp Society, it's on there as well in that feed. But that's a cool looking fish. And it's one that I was looking back on my photos because it looks like one that I've had as well that was the same size. And looking at the photos yesterday before work, I was looking through a pile of photos from that same spot with a fish that I thought was the same fish. And it turns out that it's a different 29 pounder. My fish had a very different variation in its scales, similar for the majority of it, but then right at the back where they're very obvious, mine was quite different. But both, what's interesting is that they're both the same size, a 29 pound range. So it was very, very cool. And there's only been 1 or 2 recaptures that Dave's actually had, I think, there. So it's really, really neat to see a spot that previously we thought there were going to be no recaptures. Now all of a sudden they're starting to show up. Fish are becoming more resident in that spot, which could potentially mean that, maybe he's done the right amount of work fishing that area to make fish want to stay and not just be so transient of constantly going through, which could be a good thing. Maybe the big ones won't move through as much. Hard to say. It seems like when any of us that fish that spot pop in there, there's just this huge learning curve. There's something new about that spot every time that you just can't put your finger on. Very, very interesting. Speaking of the Canadian Carp Society website, for those of you that are members, our summer event will be starting soon. So the live draw for our summer event, we've kind of mixed the SSF and the Challenge Series in a way, hopefully to make it a little bit more interesting, a little bit more exciting, and to hopefully get some people fishing together that don't normally fish together. So if you sign up for the Summer Challenge event, get your name in there, and on the 26th of June in the evening, we'll be doing a live draw to pair up the anglers, random draw to see who you're going to fish with as your team. It'll be teams of 2. It's going to go through 3 rounds. And just like the regular challenge series, it's going to go across a couple months as we go through the bracket to get down to the finals. Each round is going to be like 2 weeks long, something like that. You get a couple weekends in between. And it's going to be the top 2 fish from each angler on each team that will make up your weight. So a total of 4 fish, I believe. Why not just go to the page and I can actually tell you? Yeah, so for the first and second round, you're going to fish a 12-hour session. That's it. Right? So you and your partner, whether you fish together or you just fish at the same time because of distance reasons, you're going to set aside 12 hours to fish against your opponents. And yes, it is the 2 biggest fish submitted per angler. So let's say just randomly Dave and I were paired up. Each of us are going to submit our 2 biggest fish in that 12 hours and hopefully eliminate the other team. When it gets down to the 3rd round, that will be determined by a 24-hour match in the teams that come up in the end, which could be very interesting. So if this is something you're interested in, our SSF events have always been successful. The Challenge Series event over the last few summers has been great. Now this is kind of a way to kind of merge the 2, just slightly. And it should be interesting. It should be a lot of fun. It should be more easily managed to previous summer events because sometimes they can just there's so many anglers fishing at the same time, so many fish being caught and having to be checked over. It can be really, really daunting task for the people behind the scenes. This should be a lot more streamlined and should be very interesting. So if you're a member of the Canadian Carp Society or you're thinking about joining and you want to get in on this summer event, you've got a week and a half, 2 weeks. Get signed up. The live draw will be on the 26th at, I believe, let me just go back here, I believe 7 o'clock. Yeah, 7 o'clock Eastern time on the 26th of June. We're going to do a live draw. It will be the operations directors for the Canadian Carp Society, myself, Mr. Simon Stewart of Carp Kit, our dealer, and Mr. Wayne Smith, co-founder of the Canadian Carp Society itself. So the 3 of us are going to do the live draw to pair up the anglers, answer any questions, and go through the rules. That live draw will be in our broadcast section of our site. So if you're a member, be tuning in that evening to see who you're paired up with. If for some strange reason you're not teaming up with someone and not doing the summer event, follow along on the live anyways and cheer someone on. Hopefully we'll see the feed just full of encouragement of people really enjoying the race in that event. Dave, good afternoon. Is that Dave Newman? Or is it just Dave? Like Madonna's just a single name. He's now just Dave. Could be. Dave Marlowe. Okay, so it is a different Dave. Dave Newman is there. Ha ha ha. Getting some time in with the grandbaby there. I saw a picture this morning. Good stuff. Welcome, gentlemen. Glad to see you're in there. So Drazen hasn't had time for fishing yet. Who has been? Who's been out? Dave Newman, I know you have been out. How's your sessions been going? I'm just looking through the feed as I'm kind of. Oop! I bumped something. What did I do? Sorry, I actually locked my screen out somehow. I'm not sure what happened there. That was messed up. I'm just going through the feed on the Canadian Carp Society, and there's a lot of new faces on there, which is great. Looking at some of these captures, Dave's fish. Carl's posted a couple of really nice looking fish from, I guess, his backyard, which is very cool. Sean Martin, as always, dropping fish that look bigger than him on the screen. Wayne Smith, absolute chunk. Another new face, Josh, really cool looking swim. Some real pigs that he's showing off there. Mr. Ginter out in Manitoba, always posting big fish. LP's on there too. There's so many things to do on the CCS site, but then keeping tabs on like who's catching what is just so exciting. And when you actually think about it, you go on something like Facebook, you see everything, ads and weird posts, and this person's eating this, and this person's married to a bug, and this person got in a car accident, but they're posing with the wreck. And it's just the weirdest stuff. But you go here and it's just carp fishing. So if carp fishing is your thing, join the Canadian Carp Society. There's 2 different tiers. You don't have to join at the pro level. You can join at the basic level if you don't want, the shirts. But you still get everything else. Access to all the groups, all the videos, all the articles. And if you want to write articles or make videos yourself, you can post them right on the site. We have sections for that. It's worth joining. Dave Newman, sessions have been doing well. Good. So I have had a session a couple of weeks back now. I think last time I mentioned that we had a trip. So myself, Mr. Pendlebury, actually Andrew, and Mr. Nathan Cutler from the former Improved Carp Angling. We all had a nice trip up to the St. Lawrence, fishing New Swim for a few days. We had horrible weather that had no business showing up. The fishing was really tough, but all of us caught. We did all have a good time. Dave landed an absolute banger of a mirror. Andrew caught some really cool character fish. Nathan smacked a few right on the kind of like the last knockings of the last night. We had some amazing food. We listened to the hockey playoffs and got really depressed about the Leafs playing the way they do. We had a day where we put the underwater camera down and watched all different things come through. We had a muskie sit on the spot. We had carp swim through. We had suckers come through. It was very, very cool. It was really, really neat to watch. And overall, even though the fishing kind of sucked, the trip itself was awesome. Okay, Dave Marlowe, in these last couple of weeks have been the most carp I have ever caught. Excellent. That's awesome. It's good to hear. I hope that continues. And it's kind of funny, we're sitting here, and this is one of the things that Dave and I were discussing while we were on that trip. And we keep kind of coming back to this conversation. It's wild how we couldn't wait all winter long while we were trout fishing. We just couldn't wait for the carp season to kind of kick off here in Canada and in Southern Ontario, where we are. We're just so excited, carp time's coming, carp time's coming. We didn't fish carp through the winter like we normally do. Carp time shows up. Turns out that it's been kind of tough. Now, in all fairness, I've only had a couple of sessions behind the rod pod, doing proper carp fishing. I've mostly been doing the match style fishing, fishing with wagglers and feeders off the seat box. I'm really, really enjoying my feeder rods. It's something really cool. Fishing with the pole and the elastic, I'm absolutely loving doing that. And I'm really terrified of what's going to happen if I get a 7 or 8 pounder on that elastic. I might be okay with it. I might not be ready for that. I don't know, but it's a lot of fun. And one of the things that Dave and I keep talking about, and he keeps kind of reinforcing, is that it seems so weird that we're already halfway through the year. We really haven't properly started our carp fishing yet this year, even though normally we've been going straight through. And before you know it, it's going to be time for salmon and trout again, to get back down on the river. So it's like, where did the time go this year? It's flying by. And we're still looking forward to what we think is about to happen that normally we would have already been months into by now. So it's been a very interesting year. And, when we look at things, here we are almost in the middle of, well, it's 14th. Yeah, we're in the middle of June. I have caught salmon in the whirlpool in July. I think it was, it would have been like July 26th, 27th, a number of years back, fishing the whirlpool. We just had the right amount of rain that year, and I was catching salmon, still silver, in the whirlpool in July, and then all through August, when we would normally be fishing for carp down there. So it's really wild that that's coming up so fast, because that's something that I just kind of got back into last year and kind of missed it. I went down and I did a couple of salmon sessions. I hooked one and lost it. If you saw the video, it's depressing. I know it was a big fish, but Dave did catch one on that session. And Dave did have another session where he had a number of salmon. So, we put up 2 salmon videos last year for the first time in 10 years. I think it was almost to the week, 10 years apart between salmon uploads. Like, I'm actually doing a fall session. And then right after that, it was jump right into the trout time. And yeah, from kind of like late October, early November, right through until January, man, we were on fire with the trout. And I'm really, really excited to get back to that this fall and winter. I did really, really well on the brown trout last year. I'm looking forward to that again. I want to try a few different things. I want to get a salmon this year down in the river. I bought that Matrix, the Raven Matrix center pin reel last fall, and I haven't had a fish on that one yet. I got it just after my birthday. So on the birthday session, I was using Dave's reel. Then I went and bought my own reel. And after that, I couldn't get anything under the float. Everything. That was when we started kicking off with the drop shot fishing. And that was a whole other element too. That was a lot of fun. So it's weird how this whole season has just kind of flown by. And it's like, we haven't really started some of the things that we want to do, but it feels like we've already missed our chance to do it. It's a weird feeling. So one thing's for sure, it's time to slow a few things down. I've got a match tomorrow I'm really excited about. Next weekend, I'm pretty sure I'm going to be able to get out behind the rods, get the pod out, and have at the very least, a nice morning on the river, hopefully chasing some carp, something big. I had a nice 24 pounder a couple weeks ago, kind of as a blank saver. Like I mentioned, we did that trip, which was a great time, but the fishing wasn't great. I came back and had 3 blanks in a row. A couple of my spots, and even Dave's spot. I went in to Dave's spot right behind our good buddy Adam Battersby, and he had a killer morning. The fish were showing everywhere. I dropped in behind him after he left because he was cool to share the spot. We don't like fishing on each other's bait if we're going to negatively impact that person's session. He was cool with me dropping in behind him. I dropped in 2 kilos of bait before I left to make sure it stayed fed for him and Dave, who would be fishing it next. And in, I think, 2.5 hours that I spent there, didn't get a touch, and fish were everywhere. So just to keep my word, I put in 2 kilos of bait before I left, and it turns out that continued to be a bit of a tough bite spot for the next few people that were in there. And it was like a week later. I just needed to get a bite, and I went down to the river, put 2 rods out, only fished 2. Did an after work session. So it was from like 6 p.m., I think, until just after 9 or just before 10, somewhere around there. Put 2 rods out, and just before sunset, rod peeled off, and it was a gorgeous 24 pounder. That photo is on our Instagram as well. And that one was the first fish after 3 blanks in a row, 2 of which were at that spot. So I'm kind of looking forward to getting back on the river, getting behind a couple rods, and just having another nice session where I can get a couple of, good, decent sized fish, maybe a couple of 20 pounders, which would be spectacular, a couple of mid doubles. The match fishing is great. I'm catching small fish that I never would have normally caught in these interesting venues. The fish that are getting up to like the 10, 12, 13 pound mark that I'm getting with the feeder rods, that's a challenge. I'm using really light lines, really light rods. It's a lot of fun, don't get me wrong. But you know what? Every now and then it's nice to get the telephone poles out there and just reef in a couple of chunks. So I'm hoping to get a morning in of that next week. Cameras might come along. They should anyway. My son and I still have a couple of product review videos that I want to do. I have something on the way that is slightly out of the norm. It's not a tackle item, but it's from another YouTuber that I follow who actually does camping videos. And I want to get this product a little bit of a test and then give a review of it, because it's something I'm actually quite excited about. So I won't say anything else until it shows up. I think it shows up Monday, which is really cool because I ordered it Thursday and it's coming from the UK. So it's kind of badass. Like, that's some good service. My son and I, for the Canada Day weekend, we are going north, up north of Parry Sound. We're going for a family gathering, but that family gathering happens to be on an island surrounded by water that's full of pike and bass and walleye. And even though I won't be going out in the boat and I'm there for family reasons, I think you guys all know that at some point I'm going to wake up before everybody, or I'm going to sneak away just before bed. I'm going to be dragging a few jigs through the current, or I'm going to be popping some top water as far as I can cast from the bank. It's a family event. That's what we're there for. I'm not going anywhere near water without rods in the car. So who knows? There might be something that comes out of that trip as well. We'll see. But with that long weekend coming up and us away for that, I want to get some fishing in around that time as well, locally. So I do have another kind of like match style video like I've done recently, where we did that session, the method feeder on the river in the spring, where I had a few carp on the method feeder. Then we followed that up with the waggler fishing, close range in the same spot. So for those of you that joined us for the live stream for May, right before that live stream, I filmed a video fishing the waggler, which came out after the live stream. So you can go watch that now. Well, after this live stream, that was so much fun to be getting those carp within 10 feet of the bank. Like that was extreme close range to be fishing with the waggler, and I was getting some quality fish there. So I have another video that I have to shoot. Doesn't necessarily have to be in the same spot, but it's probably going to be the same general area, probably within a few kilometers of there. We'll see, maybe the same spot. But the tactic I used in the last match in which I won, that was a new tactic to me. It was a different style feeder that I had never used before, a different kind of bait mix than I would typically use. And I want to kind of do a review video on that style because I really, really enjoyed it. I put it to work last weekend as well and had a ton of bites doing it. But again, last weekend I was fishing for much smaller fish, so they were hitting way harder and not getting hooked up as often. So there's some modification to do there because I changed the size of that feeder. I want to talk about that. So that's another video that's going to be coming up that I'm hoping to shoot just after I get back from that Canada Day trip. So that will be coming along soon. Dave and I have been talking. We're trying to line our schedules up because we have a bunch of ideas that we need both of us out to do. We have a challenge that Dave came up with this idea, I don't know, a year or more ago. And I have been so excited to try this because I have a feeling Dave's going to win this challenge, but I know I've got a solid chance. But his recent trip to the spot where we want to shoot it makes me a little bit worried about doing this challenge. So we're just, right now, it's just a matter of us trying to line our schedules up to be able to pull this off. But when we do, oh man, this is going to be fun. I think, yes, he just wants to laugh his butt off. I can't see how we will not be laughing the entire time. For those of you that go back, been following the channel for a long time, you would have seen the videos we did where we were center pin fishing for carp in that one particular spot. In particular, I think it was part 2 when we decided to put candy. I had a piece of candy on the hair and put it out there. Those 2 sessions that we did, those 2 videos, were so much fun. I see this video that we want to shoot, this challenge that we want to do. I see it going the same way, but sillier. So if you guys liked those 2 center pin videos that we did back then, going back a few years ago now, I think we even did a live stream after we did the filming for the day on one of those sessions. So there's 3 videos that kind of cover that whole center pin session. This should be sillier and more fun than those were. And those were a riot. We had such a great time making those videos. So right now, it's just us trying to line up our schedules so that we can do it. And now, based on some new information, we have to make sure that the venue is going to be up to par to handle what we want to do. Because normally it is. And it sounds like this week, like a couple days ago, it was not ready for us. So we'll have to see what happens there. Hopefully it'll be ready to rock. But I can't tell you how much I am excited for that session. And if we can get this done soon and get it pulled off and it goes the way we hope it's going to go, with being as much fun as we want it to go, I've already said that we're going to take it up a notch and do another one as quickly as we can afterwards, because the idea just sounds so much fun. I'm not going to say what it is yet. I don't think I've given this away already in any of the previous lives that we've talked about, but I'm wired for this one. absolutely wired for this one. We do have, believe it or not, we actually have an ongoing list of ideas for potential videos. And this has been on there for the longest time. We've been wanting to do another breakdown. That's one that we don't have to always be together to do. You know, I can film my session, he can film his. Right now, it's just been tricky. My schedule hasn't really allowed me to have much in the way of time. I've been kind of like, my fishing's been kind of set up to work with the match fishing, and I haven't really gone out for any other sessions. So I'm kind of hoping that I'm going to get back to some afternoon, like, or after work sessions here and there. But we definitely have, like, I have a pretty big list in front of me right now. There is a potential for, I think, 3 series that we kind of been talked about and kind of had in mind. One of which would be me solo, which I can kind of pull off if I can string a couple of sessions together for it. One of these ones I want to scratch right off the list, because in the last month, I think I've seen 30 different YouTubers I know do this idea. So I've kind of lost interest in it. But yeah, there's a number of really interesting ideas on here. Just getting the time. If I didn't have to go to work, I could be making videos. Same with Dave. This morning I had to go to work. I had a perfect opportunity to go out and probably shoot definitely 1 video, potentially 2 that I have in mind. But I had to work. I'm going to pay the damn bills. So yeah, we definitely got a lot on the list. Getting this stuff done is another story. And I apologize. You know, I mention a lot of things and then we don't get to them. This happened quite a few times. There's been a few projects that we've kind of been excited about, and then it turns out that we can't even find the footage for them sometimes. So it sucks, but that's when YouTube is kind of like a little part-time thing. It gets difficult. So we're doing our best. As we get the time, we're going to be putting more out there. Like I said, I've already arranged some time for a few things coming up. So hopefully we will get that rocking. Like I said, the year's half over already, and it's like, I haven't even started yet. We got 6 months left until freaking Christmas, which I don't even want to think about right now. So let's not. How are we for time? Just about 45 minutes there almost. So we'll probably wrap this one up at the 1 hour mark. Is there anybody that has any questions? Usually try to make sure that everybody gets a chance. If you have any questions that I might be in my wheelhouse that I could answer, that might help you out with your fishing. While I wait for anybody to post any questions that you might have, I haven't really had much new gear. A couple of things related to the match fishing. I bought a second feeder rod, which took forever to show up. I think it was like 8 weeks before it finally got here. I had already been using a 40-gram feeder rod. I needed to up it after one of the previous matches that found me not being able to get to the range I needed to fish at. So about a 100-gram feeder rod, which is 12 foot, 3-piece, badass. Love that rod. And that was the rod I won the match with. That rod, I dig it. Really dig it. So I have 2 things here I'll mention, but really quick. If you guys can see the chat right now, Dave is letting everybody know that if you want a link to the shorts that he wore in the last video, DM him and he'll send you a link. So yes, for those of you who saw Dave's most recent video, which was a really fun video, caught some quality fish there. And it just it shows some of the effort Dave goes into for his short sessions. His fashion sense is something else. I think one of the posts I put out there was he's a man of few words, but bold statements. And those shorts and boots, that's a bold statement, sir. So yeah, if you guys want to get your own shorts to look just like Dave, send him a message. He'll send you a link. So yeah, besides that feeder rod, I really haven't been buying much of anything. Just some small end tackle, a rod holder that kind of clips onto my seat box that I can put 3 rods into. That way I'm not sitting them on the ground. And, just a few little accessories for the match fishing, because that's what I've been doing the most lately. Now, I did do a recent, very, very small order from Carp Kit. I didn't really need anything, but for those of us that participated in the spring SSF event, as if it's not already a huge bonus that you get a discount to Carp Kit, just being a Canadian Carp Society member, Simon's always throwing in these extra deals. You participate in some of these events and then you get like a bonus 5% off. It's like Simon's throwing deals at us like I would throw popcorn at a person in a theater. And if you guys have seen me in a theater, yeah, I'm one of those guys that's just like, yeah, throwing popcorn, right? Simon really, really does treat us very well, the members of the Carp Society. So we had a discount that we had to use within a certain time. So I wanted to make sure I got a small order in to take advantage of that. I did need a new stripper tool because I use 2 different tackle boxes for my carp fishing. There's a stripper tool in one, but not the other. I needed a second one. So since I had to get that anyways, I wanted to get some smaller leads, just some small inline bombs for the match fishing anyways. I decided I wanted to get some goo. We all know goo, pineapple goo, like Pineapple Supreme or the Pineapple Smoke. We've all used it. It's awesome stuff. I wanted to try some that I hadn't tried before. And one of them was No Name. Now, I've not used this yet. I just got this stuff a week ago. And I used the other one last week on my session. So this one, No Name Goo. They didn't give it a name. The name is No Name. So you have no real indication of what it's like. But if you watch the videos of the Corda guys using this stuff, some of them really, really love it. So I thought I would give it a whirl. So I'll be using this soon. But what blew my mind is that this smells like something that I think has been missing from the bait ranges that I use with like DT baits. I love my DT baits. I rave about them because they work. They catch me a lot of fish. But one of the kind of flavors that I've mentioned is not there is the kind of like a garlic smell. Well, this No Name stuff, this No Name goo, has kind of like a garlicky onion smell. This smells like I should put this in an omelet, is what it smells like, honestly. All through the winter here in Niagara, garlic flavored baits absolutely crush. They are a dominant flavor. So now I have this, but this is not what I would use in warm weather. I'm sure it'll work, but I think I'm going to save this more for the cold weather, more for like September, October. So I didn't know, I wasn't expecting that. I didn't know that it was going to have the kind of that savory garlic onion kind of smell. So I'm actually really excited to use that, just not now. This is not the time I would use this. I want to wait for some colder water. Craig Cook, elastic method feeders. Did you get any? I have not got any yet. Actually, funny enough, Craig, I was looking at those. I don't even remember the site I was on. I have it bookmarked somewhere in one of my bookmark folders. I was looking at them the other night, last night or Thursday night, and I just didn't order them yet. But I am going to check them out. I promise. I was talking to some people at one of the recent matches as well about elastic feeders. My friend Nuno has a bunch of elasticated feeders, and they were showing me how I could make my own elasticated feeder. I don't want to go that route. I'm going to buy some. So yes, I was just looking at them within the last 2 nights. And I do have a small order from, I think, that site that I wanted to do. It's in one of my notes in one of my bookmark folders. So elasticated feeders are going to be coming soon. Hopefully I'll put it in order in the next week or so. I'm going to go give them a try. They're on the list. They're coming. I was just looking at them. Drazen, have a good week. Nice to be here. Bye. Good to see you, Drazen. Thanks for popping in and taking the time to sit with us. Hopefully you'll get out soon. It's time to get out on the bank. So yeah, elasticated feeders are coming. So now this is the no-name one, right? I'm going to save this for when it gets a little bit colder. Funny enough, I think I'm also going to save this for salmon and trout time, and I'm going to put some of this, or I'll get like a no-name bait smoke. This is the Supreme. I might get the smoke, put it in my tube jigs when I go fishing for browns. Brown trout and rainbow trout love garlic. So does salmon. The Chinook salmon, garlic scented baits. So that might even come into play in some of my salmon and trout fishing. This one, however, this is another Supreme. I'll turn it around and show you in a minute. Again, this is another one that has an odd name, so it doesn't really give away what it smells like. You can see I did use this one. This one I used in my bait mix last week. I will tell you this. I fell in love with the smell right away. This one took me back a little bit. So if you go back to the early days of this channel, one of the baits we could get our hands on locally is from the States. And it was brought up into a couple of shops here, Hamilton, St. Catharines. I think it was at Fishing World. It was at, I think, Bill's Bait and Tackle and Peter's Tackle. K1 Baits had some of the best scent, like liquids that I think I have ever used. Pineapple ice cream, strawberry ice cream. They had these kind of like ice cream-esque flavors, right? So they smelled amazing. They helped catch a lot of fish. Soaking baits in those were amazing. As soon as I got a whiff of this, it took me right back to those K1 bait liquids that I used to use that I can't get anymore. And I thought, wow, that's going to work. I know this is going to work. This is one that I've seen Danny Fairbrass use a lot, and he raves about this one. But they don't really tell you what it smells like. And obviously, because I can't just walk into a shop and get this, I have to buy it first to find out. Simon had some. So in my last carp kit order, got this as well. This is the Isotonic Goo Supreme. This smells like somebody took like an orange creamsicle with kind of like a hint of peach and a hint of vanilla ice cream. That's what this smells like. Kind of the way this smell hits me reminds me of like when I first tried Northern Specials from CC Moore. The smell that filled the room was just fantastic. Even though I think I've had like 3 carp on Northern Specials, they just don't work for me. I love the smell of them. I think they smell amazing, but I just don't catch with them. This stuff fills the room and smells amazing. I can smell this from 10 feet away with the cap on. It was awesome. When this showed up, Simon had this wrapped in plastic and tape, and I could smell this out of the box. I thought, knowing this was coming, I thought one of these had leaked because I could smell it through the box. And no, everything was sealed perfectly. Nothing had leaked, not a drop. It's that kind of like potent. I put that little bit, so you can see how much it's down. I put that little bit in a 2-liter kind of container that I had mixed up with my ground bait for my feeder last week, and I started catching immediately. It was impressive. It really was. It was a mix that I had used the week before, froze for the week, and then thawed out for last week's session, sprayed a little bit of this in it to give it a little bit of life, and so it didn't smell like it had been frozen. Got to the location, and I started catching immediately. A couple of little handfuls of that ground bait tossed into where I was going to be putting my waggler, and I was on fish right away. And just like I said, despite the noise I was making and carrying on with my friends, I was catching right away. Like, no hesitation. The fish were on that bait immediately. So like I said, even though the turtles showed up and made it a lot more difficult, we stayed catching consistently, but it just seemed like I could stay closer in than anybody else right up until about the last half hour when the turtles really got onto my spot. That's when, like, Justin and Leslie, those guys could catch right in their margin. I never went more than like 8-9 feet out from the bank. Most of the time I was within 5 feet of the bank, despite the noise I was making on shore and with other anglers around me making noise. They were all fishing at like 8-9 meters. I was fishing at like less than 8 feet. And I caught consistently through it. And I genuinely think this had a huge impact. That's coming into play in tomorrow's match for sure. So, yeah, for those of you who use goo, we've all used it. Like I said, most of us have used it. Some of us have used a number of different ones. Bumbleberry goo, I find to be pretty good. Almond goo, oh my God, put that stuff on everything. Pineapple goo, a standard. What's some of the other ones I've used? I've seen so many of them used, but these two I had never seen, never tried. Don't know anybody else who had tried them. I can tell you right now, the No Name, kind of like a garlic onion savory kind of smell, probably killer for cold water around here. This one, I think smells like magic. And before this bottle is empty, I'll be buying another one. I can see this coming into play. I can already kind of think of some of the hook baits that I used, some of my DT hook baits. I want to mix this smell with them and see what happens, because I think this will complement some of the DT baits very, very well. The DT booster sprays are fantastic because they match that hook bait, but this might give it that little bit of an edge that will kick things up a notch. Mr. Penderbury, off to work. I'm sorry. Hate that you have to go to work. I don't think it's fair. I think you should just fish full time and keep us all entertained because you're good at it. But yeah, we're just coming up on that 1 hour mark. I didn't really see any questions pop up. Sometimes we do, sometimes we don't. Not many of us are getting out. I think we're all kind of having this, where did the first half of the year go kind of thing happen. I'm glad Dave Newman's getting some time with the grandbaby. That's awesome to hear. It's great news that she's doing well. Dave Marlowe, nice of you to pop in. Drazen was in. Craig's in. Yes, elasticated feeders. I have to find my bookmark, but probably within this week, I'm going to pick some up, or at least get them ordered. Tyler, always nice to see you. Grimey's having that birthday party going on for his little one. That's excellent. Galen, as always, great to see you. Thank you all for jumping in. Really appreciate you guys that are always here, always jumping in the chat. I'm sure Doug and Tim will see this later. We miss them. Hopefully they'll pop in and catch a live soon. But I'm glad all of you guys take the time to pop into the chat, even if it's just to say hi and you don't really say anything after that. I'm glad you're there. Really appreciate it. I love that you guys support the channel and join in for these lives. Let's just quickly, if I can quickly bring up my calendar. Like I mentioned, there's a lot going on up until the Canada Day weekend where I have that family event to be at. What is the next live? That will be July 12th is the next live that would be scheduled. I have a match the week before, and I work on the 12th. So our live stream for the 12th might be from the bank. It might just be slightly later. I might just need time to get to the bank and set up. Yeah, it looks like there's 2 matches in July. Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's going to be kind of busy. So, July 12th will be our July live stream. I'm hoping I can do it from the bank. I will do what I can to set that up. And that might be behind the pod. It might be on the seat box. Hard to say. Probably won't be casting any lures because that's hard to kind of keep track of the live and do that as well. But I have a couple venues that I wouldn't mind doing a live from. Definitely with the seat box, possibly behind a couple of the, like maybe the light rods on the light pod. That could be a lot of fun. So I will pick a venue. I will figure that out and try to go straight from work to doing a live on the 12th. So we'll see you all then. Thank you guys again for jumping in and hanging out and chatting with us. Thanks for reminding me about those feeders. Like I said, I've got a couple of videos in my schedule to shoot over the next few weeks, and we will get those out to you as quickly as possible. Dave and I are going to work on our schedule to get this challenge underway. We need to get this one challenge done. It has to happen because we've been waiting so long and we are so excited about doing it. Yeah, busy next few weeks. Galen, thank you. Appreciate that. Hopefully I can get another win under my belt tomorrow. I'm going to do my best. Like I said, I think my plan is going to be unique from everybody else. And I think I have enough hemp seed left to do it. So it's going to be fun. So we will see you all on the 12th of July, hopefully from the bank. If not, and I'm in here, I think at that point I will have some cool new products to talk to you about. Because there is a few things, besides the elasticated feeders, there's a few things on the list. So we will see you then. Thanks for joining in. Appreciate it. Again, if you haven't joined the Canadian Carp Society, you're a carp person, you want to see what it's all about, 2 tiers to sign up as. Jump in, give it a year. If it's not for you, we understand. That's fine. But if it is, you're going to be there, and you're going to stick around, and you're going to love it. It's awesome. So, yeah, thanks for all tuning in. Really appreciate it. Glad we got this live done. And right now I have a ton of stuff to prepare. All my match stuff is still in the van from last week. I have to pull it all out, go through it all, tie my rigs, get my bait prepared. Crap, that means I got to get my bait out of the freezer. And yeah, I got a lot to do. I got a lot to get ready, and it sounds like the boy's awake. So he probably wants to be fed. I'm getting sick of this whole feed children thing. It's like they have hands. They kind of have brains. They can make their own food, right? We'll get it all figured out. We'll see you next time. Thanks so much.